In, sit down. We have an awesome panel for you. So before we get started, I just want to lay out a couple quick ground rules. Please just pay attention. Give these guys your utmost respect and attention. We have some professionals who've come from all over, many backgrounds, many professions that are here to kind of give you their expertise and some advice as you guys move on with your life post high school. So please put your phones away, silence them. And you guys are juniors and seniors, so we shouldn't have to say too much to you. But by the way, I'm Mr. Williams. For those who don't know me, I'm the drone technology teacher here. Before we get started, I do want to acknowledge a couple of our Syracuse board members who are in attendance. So Commissioner Dr. Mark Mohammed, was in the back. Oh, over here in the corner here, give him a hand. And also Commissioner Karen Cordano. She's still here? Oh, right here. All right, give her a round of applause. And so I want to kind of hand it over to our moderators, right? We have Spencer. You guys know Spencer, right? Give it up for Spence. And then we also have News Channel 9 reporter / anchor extraordinaire, Iris St. Moran, who's coming to join us today. She'll be moderating. So as you guys fill in, I'm going to toss it over to these two moderators, and then they will get us started, all right? Toward the end, we'll have questions from the audience. So if you have questions, please have them ready, and we'll come around with the microphone.
Good afternoon, everyone. Come on, y'all can do better than this. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I am so honored to be standing alongside Spencer. He thinks he's just going to assist, but he's going to be my co-pilot on this. So I'm excited to share the stage with him and get started with our panelists. So I'm going to have each of you tell us who you are and what you do briefly, and then we'll get into the questions. And so we will start. Yes, she is grabbing the mic.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shawnee Davis. I am the president and CEO of Luminary Electrical Contractor, and I'm very happy to be here. I know you guys have an electrical program that Mr. Wilson is running, and hopefully we'll get some electricians out of your class, maybe. At least one. We know Spence is.
Good afternoon. My name is Nicole Heath. I am a vice principal at Lincoln Middle School. I'm also alumni of the Syracuse City School District, and I'm so happy to be here with y'all.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Reba Y. Hodge. I am the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Belonging for the Syracuse City School District, and I am, too, very happy to be here with you.
Good afternoon. I'm Darren Price, CEO of Wright Price Companies, RPC Technology. We've been incorporated in Syracuse since 2004. And when you look around your school, I provided some of the furniture, some of the laboratory case goods, and displays. So thank you.
You didn't mention you was a graduate of Fowler here, right? Yes, all right. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Warren Hilton. I'm the president of Onondaga Community College, and I know many of the students from the programs here end up moving on to OCC for additional training, so I'm happy to be here.
And I'm Anthony Davis. I am the superintendent of the Syracuse City School District and also an alumni of SCSD. Henniger Black Knights, but I still love you too.
Briefly tell us about your journey and where you are in your careers.
I picked the wrong seat. So you said briefly tell us.
Tell us about your journey.
Oh, okay. My journey, I did graduate also from SCSD, and I got into the electrical apprenticeship program at Local 43 here. I went through the program as an apprentice, became a journeywoman and a master electrician, and then I started Luminary Electrical, which is just under 2 years old. So just kind of growing into being the CEO of my own company. And it's a good journey so far.
I also graduated. I graduated from Henniger. Me and Shawnee actually went to school together, and college together. When I went to Syracuse University. I never planned to go into education. I never planned to be a teacher. I thought I was going to be a pediatrician one day, and what I had to realize, it wasn't that I really just wanted to be a doctor. I really just wanted to work with people like you, children, youth, right? So I went through SU. I joined the education program. I was a teacher at Seymour Dual Language Academy for about 8 years, and now I am at Lincoln Middle School, which is also the middle school that I attended.
So I am probably the only one up here who is not an SCSD grad. I am from New York City. I grew up in the Bronx, New York. I did my undergrad at Syracuse University. That's what brought me up here. I was a classroom teacher for 10 years in the Bronx, New York, before coming back here to get my PhD. And I started in the district at what was once Danforth, which was now Brighton Academy. And then I went on to Van Dyne Elementary School. Anybody in here went to Van Dyne? Oh, there we go. And now I'm here as the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Belonging, and that's really talking about how young people like yourself is experiencing school. So if you're having good experiences, not so great experiences, I want to hear about it. Okay? Okay? Okay.
Hi, there's a saying that says, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And sitting here, I was just reminded something by the superintendent. During our college days, we actually started painting together. And that lit the spark on me to go on the entrepreneurial journey. I started my company, Right Price Companies, years ago. Like I said, we incorporated back in '04. At that time, we were selling office supplies, promotional products, printed material, and furniture. That led me on my journey to where I am today. When I was asked to be here, I was really honored to come back to my alma mater because I walked these halls and me and my friends would always talk about what we were going to do in our future. And a lot of my friends are really doing some very positive things, and I look out at you guys and I see potential. And you got to grow into your potential, you know. So I just want to encourage you. Thank you.
So I too am not a SCSD alum. I grew up in Philadelphia and grew up in the inner city. Went off to college, started working in corporate America, worked for large companies. And if you don't hear anything else I say today, here you should do in life what you're passionate about. I was working in corporate environments and I wasn't passionate about it. I'm really passionate about helping people achieve their dreams through education, and so I left the corporate environment and I've been working at institutions of higher education ever since. And that has brought me to the place where I am now as the president of Onondaga Community College.
Again, my name is Anthony Davis, and I'm the superintendent. And my journey has been I'm a 38-year veteran in education. And my journey, I'm guessing that someone out in this audience is much like I was. Up through 10th grade, I was extremely shy, didn't speak to anybody, didn't really talk much, just kind of kept to myself and my friends. So to be in front of you and to have gone through this journey of becoming an educator has been a beautiful journey for me. I will tell you how it happened, and it was quick as I got a job as a teaching assistant in the Syracuse City School District and fell in love with the job. So I say education chose me. I didn't choose education because once I hit that classroom, it was just something different about that interaction with people and helping people better themselves. So I became a teaching assistant, then a special education teacher, then got into administration, retired, came back as the assistant. I came back as assistant superintendent, then I retired, came back as the interim superintendent, and just was named the superintendent. So my being here is just proof to you. I grew up on the south side of Syracuse, and sitting on this stage is absolutely amazing for me to share this with you because I think everybody has that opportunity, everybody has that potential. So I'm glad to be here.
Thank you all for your insight. For my next question, I'm going to single some people out so we don't have to go in a row. In the hot seat next, I would love to hear from Dr. Hilton and Shawnee Davis. Particularly as a Black professional, what are some of the barriers you've had to encounter or continue to face day to day? You can talk about just the diversity in your field and how maybe representation or lack thereof kind of played in your decision in getting into your field. And then anyone else who wants to weigh in after that, feel free.
I am in a field that is very heavily white male dominated. And so it definitely was not an easy road. But I actually just said to Spencer that, well, part of what I'm about to say right now, I said to Spencer, but I saw the things that needed to change within this realm of being in the trades. I saw the things that needed to change. And the best way to change an organization is to infiltrate the organization and then make changes from the inside. And so I went through all of all of the program and all of the journeyman and all of those levels, and I realized that really to make the biggest change, I needed to create a company that could show that change and be that change. And so that was the direction that I decided to head in, and it's worked out very well for me. So so far, I've just been added to the board of the National Electrical Contractors Association, and I mean, if you're really trying to create some kind of change, being on a board is the best way to do it. So I'm hoping that we'll continue to do so. Hopefully, we'll continue to be a beacon of light to you all, to let you all know, like I grew up on the south and east side of Syracuse, a project kid, right here in the city, that we can do pretty much whatever it is that we want if we put our minds to it and our hearts to it, and we make sure that we make the right connections with people. That has really been the thing that's driven me the most, is the relationships that I've been able to build. So even the relationships that you're making in high school, I mean, I'm sitting next to someone I went to high school with, all of that matters. You know, keep in touch with the people that you're making connections with, because you never know, when you get a little older, you might be on a panel with somebody you went to high school with.
Yeah. For me, I'll say three things. When you work in spaces where there's not a lot of people of color, for me it's always been important to seek out role models, people that were people of color, who are doing great things, and then learn from them. So I think that's number one. Number two, I told y'all I grew up in Philly, so I'm used to fighting with my fists as a kid. So I had to learn not to fight with my fists, but learn how to fight with my brain. When you're in spaces where people might not like you because the way you look, then you can't fight with your fists. You really need to think about how do you meet these challenges in an intelligent way, so that at the end of the day, you end up in a position where you want to be, instead of in a position where somebody else is putting you. And then the third thing I will say is, whatever you can do to get support, whether you get support from your family, people outside your family, build a support system so that when it gets tough, you have some people that you can go to talk to about, what's going on in your life, and those people who love you. And it could be family, it could be not family, it could be whoever. But make sure you have people around you, and if you don't have those type of people around you, you call me, and we'll make sure to get some people around you that can help you as you go through your career.
I have a question for Mr. Price. I just want to hear about some of the mistakes you made during your journey.
Being a first-generation entrepreneur, coming from the Southwest side and going into a business space, there was a lot of mistakes, or there's a lot of things that I just didn't know. And, the doctor just spoke so eloquently about finding mentors. Networking is something that is so key, but we've never been taught, or at least I was never taught, how to network. And just going into spaces with powerful people thinking networking was just giving them a business card. And it's so much more. It's just like all of you sitting here have your own network because you're sitting next to your friends, and that's your network. If you need to get something, you go to your friends to figure out how you can do it. And it's the same thing in business, is building that network all the way across different spaces. So you find people that you have something in common with, and then you build from there. So I would say one of my first mistakes was not understanding the value of a network. And another mistake was thinking that everybody was my competition. And when I thought about competition, I thought about competing and going out and being able to destroy that person, or they destroy you, for wins. But when you understand that everyone is not your competition, even your competition can be used in a valuable space, because you can use each other to get the ultimate goal, is to win contracts or whatever you're looking for. And so understanding that piece is very valuable.
Anyone else want to weigh in on maybe some of the lessons that they've learned along the way, or things that they wish they had known at the start of their career? Ms. Heath?
I think something I wish I had known, especially when I was in high school, is that you may not always know right now what you want to do, and that you have the liberty to change your mind, so that you can figure yourself out. I think about when I went to college. I don't know about y'all, but my mom was super strict. Anybody got a strict parent in the house? So when I went to college, I lost my mind, okay? I had way too much fun. I wanted to go out all the time because I wasn't allowed to just do that growing up. So one of the mistakes I made was not learning how to balance getting an education and still having some fun, right? And so it took me a long time to have to fix that after messing it up. So I want y'all, whatever path you decide to choose, whether it's a trade, whether it's college, that you understand that there's a time to work, there's a time to have fun with your friends, there's a time to chill and do things, right? And then also, I was listening to Mr. Price talk about the network. I honestly learned about networking from Mr. Price. I didn't realize how important it was to build a connection, to build my circle, to only have people in my circle that I respect. And if I did not respect them, maybe they didn't belong in my circle. And to also be my biggest advocate. Networking is also telling people who you are, what you have to offer, and who can speak to you better than you.
My next question is for Shawnee Davis. You spoke upon how it is dominated by white males, and I want to know what kept you going.
I think part of that question I answered in my earlier answer, which is that I really wanted to make sure that the people that are coming behind me, at least their experiences change a little bit based on us being there. So again, infiltrating to make change. So that's one thing that motivated me. And I was able to navigate that by, we were talking about building relationships, but finding common ground with the people that I was working with and working around. Because, for an example, and I give this example a lot, you know, the guys around me would talk a lot about hunting. And I'm a project kid, right, from the city, and hunting was not a thing that we did. We go to the store and buy our meats, right? So, but what I did with that information is I listened intently to understand. I listened to understand, and then when it was time to have that conversation on another job site with someone else that was a hunter, I could say, oh man, you know, I don't really know a whole lot about it, but I talked to so-and-so and such and such. And when you're able to find that common ground with people, a lot of their defense mechanisms that they have just based on you being in the room and being there, they kind of relax a lot. And I've followed that throughout my entire career. I think the best way to navigate, especially spaces like that, is to do that. I just dropped the jewel on you guys. I don't know if you guys know how important that is when it comes to networking, but that is huge. Find common ground with the people that are around you, and you'll do well. You'll exceed what your expectations are.
We have a lot of educators on this panel. For anyone in the audience who might be interested in being a teacher or even a superintendent, what kind of courses should they be taking? Maybe what should they focus on? What should they be doing next? If education is a path that they want to take, I'll start with Mr. Davis and then go to Dr. Reba Hodge.
So this won't be the typical advice that I would give anyone. I would first tell you to follow your passion, whatever that is. Get your degree in what you choose to get your degree in, because education is so flexible. Today you may want to do one thing, tomorrow you may want to do something different, but the whole idea is to have an impact on others. So education has a way of fitting a lot of your experiences into an educational setting. If you're an entrepreneur in music and you end up teaching a business course, you can have a concentration on music in that business course. So it's different things you can do that feeds your passion in education. And remember, education isn't just to teach the classroom. There's so many things tied to the educational field. You know, we need accountants, we need all kinds of jobs. We need maintenance folks, we need contractors. We contract with a whole bunch of different types of people. So the education field isn't just that classroom. And you need to know that we're actually, I'm gonna put a plug in, especially for some of you younger folks who's interested in education. With your age, we can get you to be teacher assistants and then help you pay to go to school to advance yourself. So please think about joining us in the educational field, because if you really think about it, you need people like yourselves to help people like yourselves. So that's what will make us a lot better moving forward if we had young people taking an interest in helping other young folks. So it's a huge opportunity in a lot of different ways to get into education, and I wouldn't just define it as one thing.
I think to build on that, I look back at my own journey towards my teaching. I wasn't originally going to be a teacher. I wanted to be a lawyer, and I wanted to be a lawyer very specifically because I wanted to help my family get out of poverty. And when I got to SU, I quickly found that that wasn't my passion. I was real sensitive, so I knew I couldn't go into a courtroom and have someone disagree with me. I was real sensitive. And so my passions then, I started thinking about, well, my first job, I worked as a junior counselor. And then I just kept working with kids throughout my high school career. And then when I enrolled in the teacher prep program at SU, you know, Shawnee talked about, or was asked about, you know, being the only one or not having others in your field. When I enrolled in my cohort of classmates, I was one of 2 Black women in my class. And so it became very important to me to give back to folks who look like me. And so that's what brought me back to the Bronx. And then even as I came back to get my PhD, I was one of 2 black women in my PhD program. This is 10 years apart. So nothing much had changed at SU. And so thinking about how my passion for young people and for ensuring that they get all access to opportunities, that's what drove me into my profession. That's what keeps me here. And I look at teaching as a calling. I feel like you have to be called to do the work of teaching because it is so impactful. It is so necessary to have people in front of young people that can inspire them. So that's where I fall.
My next question is for Nicole on the topic of education. I just want to know, how do you feel you are impacting the youth working at a middle school?
I try every day to, first I want to say, as I was listening to Superintendent Davis and Dr. Hodge, I think both of you touched on the fact that education chooses you. And I don't know if y'all understand this, that we as educators, we get cursed out by y'all sometimes. We have to break up your fights. We gotta listen to who dating who and the petty drama, right? None of us went to school, incurred all this debt to have to just deal with that, but we do it because we wholeheartedly care about you, right? So education, I do think in some aspect does choose us, and it chooses us because of the heart that we have for you. So, oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot the question. So with that, how do we impact y'all is it's not just about teaching, right? As much as I might love math or whatever the subject or the content is that I'm teaching, part of it is that we want to be role models, especially when we sit in a class and we're the only male or female of color, when we have to deal with microaggressions, when we have to deal with the fact that we know that some people don't want us to be in our programs, and yet we still push through, and we do it because we want you to see people like us. You know, most of us didn't have a black teacher. Most of us didn't sit in an audience and have a panel of people who are directors and superintendents and all the entrepreneurs. And we do these things because we want to pave the way. We want you to know you can do this too. And we want to be a resource for you.
Any of the other educators want to weigh in on Spencer's question?
I mean, I just think about impact and what that means, right? So when you all are sitting in the audience and you're looking up at this panel, what are some things that you all are feeling internally? What are you all experiencing in this moment as we are sitting in front of you talking to you about our journeys, about where we are, about where we're going? I think about my position and what I want it to be for students, all students, and also thinking about students who have been historically marginalized in spaces in education, so LGBTQ students, that don't conform easily, students that don't comply easily. You know, I want to be a space for folks to come and be able to talk about their experiences in school and how we as adults can make the conditions in school those that can help. I feel like they don't want me to talk. Those that can help to create those kinds of spaces for all students to really be successful.
The only thing I'm going to add is a very personal experience, and what that is when I was going through school, like I said, I was extremely quiet. I was a really good athlete, and I came from a very poor environment. And the expectations for me was extremely low. And what I mean was that everybody treated me great. I was a really nice kid, so I got good grades because I was a nice kid, not because of what I knew. And the expectations was, you know, hopefully he'll make it because he's a nice kid. I knew that. And I fortunately had an internal drive that pushed me to different levels to prove people wrong. So I wouldn't skip a test. I wanted to take the test because I wanted to prove to you I was as good as the other people were. And I constantly tried to make myself a student athlete so that I could prove myself in the classroom. I went to a school called Hobart College, which a lot of people can't even get into. It's kind of like a mini Ivy League type of school. But people kept saying, how are you going to get in there? And I had to prove to them academically I was eligible to go there. So what I'm saying to you is it would be a wonderful problem for me to have if I had students coming to me saying, hey, I don't think I'm getting the level of education I'm supposed to be, or I don't think I'm being challenged. And I want that to come from you. I want you to expect more for yourselves, and I want you to challenge us to do a better job. So my dream is that you're going to control our educational system in the future by demanding that your education is at a higher level.
My next question is just for the panel. What are some opportunities that happened in your life that you want us to take advantage of?
I'll start that one. I'm here. That's what I want you to take advantage of. I want you to take advantage of me sitting in this spot, coming from the places you come from, and knowing that your needs are the same needs that I experienced coming up. And also that I know your potential can be fully reached. I want you to take advantage of the fact you have people in front of you that network to a place where this gentleman calls me weekly to offer me opportunities for you. So when those types of things are happening, I really need you to take advantage of it, and I need you to take advantage of it now.
The one thing that I'll say is when someone gives you an opportunity, even if it's not an opportunity that may be exactly what you want to do that day or that week or that month, really give it serious consideration. Some of the things that I look back on in my life that somebody said, hey, Warren, you know, we got this opportunity for you to be in a program on the weekend where they're going to teach you about computers. Well, I really wanted to be home playing video games and hanging out with my friends. But take that opportunity because you end up learning so much more, and it puts you in a better position later in your life. So when the next opportunity comes back, and maybe it's a competitive thing like getting into Hobart College, you have that to say, you know what, I took advantage of these opportunities, and that makes you more successful as you go. So I would say take advantage of opportunities, even those ones where, you know what, it'd be nice if I could just hang out with my friends or play video games, whatever it is. Take advantage of those opportunities. And the second thing I'll tell you is work experience. Anytime you can get some experience in the field that you want to go into, take advantage of it. Take advantage of it. Take advantage of it. I will say that 1,000,000 times. If somebody offers you the opportunity, you want to be whatever it is, an electrician, you want to be in computers, you want to be a drone pilot, and somebody says, hey, I got a job, and you know, even if it's just for a weekend or a couple days, take advantage of that job and get that experience.
As an entrepreneur and business owner, you talk about opportunities. You know, in the technology field, the government has just let out billions of dollars for something called RDOF, you know, for the internet, for broadband. So everyone, high-speed cable for everyone. Opportunities. When I'm looking to hire people, I'm looking to see what talents you come to help me build my business. And it's not about me growing, it's about my entire team growing. What do you bring that you can add to the team so you can grow, so you can build your own opportunities? And from where you're sitting right now, you have so much potential. And it's one thing that's a shame is when it's squandered. You know, right now I can look at you and say you have potential, but in 10 years, if I'm still saying you have potential, it's an insult because you squandered your potential. And so the reason I'm coming here is to tell you, take advantage of the things that you have that are out here. Never before has so much opportunity been put out here for you. You've just got to reach out and grab it. Open your eyes. You look at your friend to your right, you look at your friend to your left. After you've graduated from school and moved on, that you're going to still have love for them, but you're not going to be occupying the same spaces because you're going to move on. Unfortunately, some of your friends are going to be stuck in the mud, and they're going to be right here at the same mentality that they have sitting in this auditorium. You don't want to be that person. You want to be the person that has grown so much that I still got love for my people back in the days, but they're not where I'm at because I'm about moving on and taking advantage of my potential and my opportunities.
I'm just going to say one of the opportunities that I took advantage of was the opportunity to work in the trades. As we spoke before, Nicole and I actually went to college at Syracuse University and got an education there, but I'm not doing anything near what I was doing at Syracuse University, right? But this opportunity came up to be in a skilled trade and to work and get paid and go to school. Like, that just made a whole lot of sense to me. So so this was an opportunity that I took advantage of. You guys have even better opportunity here because you have classes that teach you right in high school about this opportunity. So everyone's talking about taking advantage of opportunities. You guys have. I love the whole idea of this PSLA. This is amazing. And not anything that we had when we were in school, at least. I don't think anybody here. I also want to mention that I had opportunities to have great teachers and administrators when I was in school, and Mr. Davis down here at the end was an administrator when I was in school. So take advantage of those folks too, because without him and the other teachers and folks that I had around me to encourage me, this is not where I would be. So. That's that.
I think one of the things I would encourage you all to do is look at your education as an opportunity equalizer. So what I mean by that is you all have to commit to being smarter, to being wiser, to being more literate, because you never know what that education is going to provide you access to. And I'll share a little story, the personal story. When I was younger, my siblings and I and my mother were homeless. And we had different levels of homelessness. Like, sometimes we were doubled up with a friend, sometimes we were in a shelter, sometimes we were on the street. And one of the times that we were in a shelter, my mother at the time wrote a little story about her life. And someone read that story. And someone then said, we need to give this single mom of 3 an opportunity. And they got us our first apartment. I was 8 years old. And that was the apartment that I grew up in. I went to high school all that time. My eldest brother still lives in that apartment. My mother doesn't live there anymore, but my eldest brother lives there. But I'm saying that to you because when we all say education is critical, I know you all are like, yeah. But it changes the trajectory of your life if you are a literate person. And so I want, if you all don't take anything from that, I want you to take that. You all need to be able to read, write, and think critically about your world so that you can change it. There's so much out there for you all, and I think that's what I want you all to take from my story. Y'all got a girl feeling like a superstar up here?
What a testimony. Thank you so much for sharing that. I know I'm inspired, and I hope others are too. We're going to open it up to some student questions for you, but I had, anyone can answer this, but you know, the high school years are a hard time. And especially now, we have the pandemic. There's a lot of issues that students are going through. We have, I think, juniors and seniors here. Maybe they're not sure what they want to do. Anyone can weigh in. What advice would you give your younger self, that self that might be sitting in this chair right now?
I'd say two things. Number one, I always thought I was alone when I was struggling. I learned over time I'm not alone. There's other people struggling. And I need to ask for help is the second thing. You know, so don't think you're alone when you're struggling. You got all these good educators here. You probably have people in your family, your community. You're not alone. And you know, even though you may feel like you're alone, you're not alone. Somebody else is experiencing what you're experiencing. And then ask for help. There were so many times as a high school student that I struggled with things, and all I needed to do was ask for help, and somebody would have given it to me, and I wouldn't have had that struggle. So those would be the two things I would say.
I think I would tell my younger self, although I think my journey turned out the way exactly it was supposed to be, I wish I would have helped others sooner. Because once I started to figure it out, I kind of kept things to myself still, when other people around me may have been going through some of the same things I was, but they didn't know it. So I wish I would have spoke up sooner to have an impact on others, even as a younger me.
I think I tell my younger self, everything's not a joke. Take things serious. You know, you take things for granted like it's going to be here, and it's not. You got to take things very serious because your future is nothing to play with. You know, your education, if you're an athlete, your relationships. When you take things serious and you look at things, and you'll be able to decide which direction you want to go in, and when you decide that direction, you go for it. You don't listen to the white noise, that background noise, because you'll have people saying that you can't do it. Believe in yourself. No matter what goal you set, you can do it, but you have to be serious about it. And that's what I would tell myself.
Time for questions. Anyone who has a question for our panelists, Mr. Williams has the microphone and will come greet you. Any questions?
What class did you teach while in Seymour?
I feel like you look familiar. Did you go to Seymour?
Yeah.
Yes, I very much remember you. I can't think of your name, but I remember you. I was, when I was in third grade, I want to say you had Miss Griffin and Miss, see, I do remember you. So I was third grade, then I went up to fifth grade, so a lot of the third grade students I had again in fifth grade.
Okay.
I just want to say hi to Miss Heath because I took her creative writing class. I was in Miss Griffin's class. And
Are you Angelique?
Yes, I am.
Y'all, listen, you see how much we care about you?
I write little short stories for my niece and nephew, like little stories for them, because I like writing. Your class was really fun and interesting, and I love reading and writing because of you. So I just want to say hi, and I miss you.
Thank you. I just want to say I very much do remember Angelique. I remember her stories. I remember when you were saying how sensitive you were. I remember how sensitive she was. And so I think that not only do we try to impact y'all, you all impact us as well.
This one's for like the educators. What is like a hard situation that you've had to deal with like a student that like made you like think about like what you do and like, I don't know, change your perspective or something like that?
That's a great question. So I'm going to answer from a district perspective, and then maybe somebody can answer from more of a building perspective. A really hard situation for me is, and I'm being very serious about this, is the level of violence that we're seeing in our schools right now. It's so disruptive that you have so many students doing the right things that want to be in their classrooms and doing their work, and then we have folks who are constantly acting out and fighting and disrupting the buildings. So for me, that's very problematic, and it's hard to deal with, and it does make me figure out what I need to do to stop some of that. So I would hope that we can get that under control, and I would need other students to help me deal with that. So if you have ideas, we're certainly listening to it, but I want the schools to be a safer place so you can learn more.
I just wanted to say hi, Missy.
Is that Jay Deere? Don't play with my memory, y'all.
So this is for all of you guys. What was the hardest thing about your whole journey and stuff like that?
Question was, oh, that's really loud. Question was, what's the hardest thing about your entire journey?
The hardest thing I've experienced has been the levels of administration I've been on. I've been the only black male in those arenas. And it feels like every time I walk into a room, I got to prove myself all over again, even after all the work I put in up front. So for me, the hardest thing has been constantly having to prove myself.
I think the hardest thing for me has been wanting things to be better for our young people and then having the disappointment that it's not quite yet where it should be and worthy of what young people like yourself deserve. And so I think that's always a battle that is hard for me, is just navigating that and continuing to fight, to push, to make sure that we continue to fight and push so that you all do get the education that you all are deserving of.
That was worthy of a clap.
This question.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think the hardest part about my journey is the adjustments that I've had to make with the changes and growth. So starting out as a college student and doing customer service to, you know, swapping in the trades and just learning how to use like power tools because I've never done it, and then going from that to being an owner of a company and now putting on a CEO hat. There's a lot of adjustments within those periods, and I think that's been the most challenging part, but it's worked out so far for me, so I'm gonna keep challenging myself. I encourage you all to do the same.
I think, are you guys familiar with Jackie Robinson? So being a first generation entrepreneur, being the first one to occupy the space that I operate in, there's a lot of barriers. There's systemic racism, there's access to capital problems, there's workforce problems, and then there's the network. So going into the field with a sole focus that I've got to close a business to feed my family, and knowing that there's no other opportunity. You go through 100 no's to get to that right yes. And that's the mentality that you have to have. So when you talk about the barriers, when you talk about the challenges, we know that they're out there. But you know, but once you kick the door in, that there's a lot of people that's able to come behind you. So.
This question is mainly targeted towards all the chief executive officers on that table. I know all of you said that
not all of you, but most of you said that you had to go through adversity to get to your current position and your roles in your respective companies. But what was your process of plowing through that hardship? Like, what did you have to go through?
So I'm the CEO. I started the company. So with that being said, the buck stops here. And it starts with the vision. Where do I want to be? What are my goals? How do I want to live? How do I want my family to live? So like I just said, once you set your goal and you have your vision, that's when the process starts. And nothing happens until you write it down. Because you go to a situation where you don't have a plan B, it's a plan A, and plan A has got to work. You know, so like I said, it's not about my friends, because I show you your friends, I show you your future. So you put yourself in a positive environment. So when you're talking to people, they can give you positive reinforcement, and they can give you positive advice on how to move through.
I'll connect my answer back to the last question. When you're in charge of things, like my friend said here, the buck stops with you. But one of the hardest things I had to do in my career is take responsibility for something that I didn't do. It was somebody who worked for me who did it, but since the buck stops with me, guess what, right? I had to say, our organization made a mistake and we need to correct it. With that, one of the difficult challenges is making sure that the people who are working with you have the same vision that my friend talked about that you have for the organization. And so, you know, I give you a current example at OCC. I just challenged our campus community to close our achievement gap for underrepresented minorities and first-generation students. Everybody needs to understand how important that is to our community college, that we want all of our students to succeed. But when somebody at the college does not do the right thing, that's a difficult thing for me, because I have to say we did not succeed, even though it wasn't due to my own fault. So that's what I would say.
Bonjour. My question is, like, let's say you're fighting right. I mean, people fighting right, and then somebody, boom, just hit you. What would you do?
I think Tresor is asking a question about adversity.
No. It deserves an answer. It deserves an answer. I would tell you, if someone is fighting and they hit me, I'm going to do my best to make sure we're both in a safe place. So if that means I got to lock you up, if I got to hold you in a particular way, if you're asking if I'm going to fight back, that's not where I am. I'm mature enough to know what my abilities are. I try to make sure you're safe, or that person is safe, and then we'll deal with the consequences after that. But first and foremost, we have to get the environment under control and to a place where everybody's safe, that it doesn't continue.
Thank you. We have one question over here, and then we'll pop back over to you, Mr. Williams.
Hello, my question is for anybody out there that has had multiple different pathways that they wanted to follow. What advice would you give to somebody who is like that as well?
Yes, I've had multiple pathways, and they all sent me on the same journey, because you learn from each path that you take. You know, I was a correction officer. I sold real estate From real estate, I went to commercial real estate. I started Right Price Cleaning, and I started Right Price Companies. And each path, I learned something, and I learned a skill that it transitioned into my next path. So you never give up. You never give up, and you learn, because it's no such thing as a failure until you quit. All right?
Another whistle. I gotta step my game up. No, so I just want to say that I was just recently in a room with 99 other people, and at least 30% of those people had 5 businesses. I was like, man, I really need to step my game up. When we keep talking about stepping my game up, but I'm like, they got 5 different businesses, but what they did was what Mr. Price said. They didn't give up. They said, oh, I want to do this. Man, I did that. I want to do this. You know what? I did that. Let me do this. And they just kept going with it. Think about Master P. Started out like as a rapper and a producer. Then he was in the NBA. And then he lived like 17 different lives. It's possible to do. If you are a person that just, you want to try different things, why not do it? I say try it.
To go along with what our young gentleman said about adversity, what would you say is something that is about your job that affects your personality in the negative way? And what have you done to overcome that?
I'll say, the stress of the job can affect you negatively when you're always on the go and you're always trying to do things to help everybody else. That to answer that question, you have to find a few minutes each day and some time each week to do something for yourself. Because if you continue to always pour out and do things for everybody else and you don't give yourself some love, it does affect you negatively. So, yeah.
This is going to be hard to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. I've been given a gift in the fact that I don't stress about a whole lot that I can't control. I've conditioned myself not to dwell over things I can't control. However, what bothers me is when people have misconceptions or misinformation about things, and they're constantly talking about it, and they're talking about it publicly, and you can't do anything to straighten that out. You can't talk about certain things publicly as a school district. You can't defend. You can't do those things. So when I'm in the community, I do my best to have real conversations to say to people, you don't have all the facts, or you don't know all the people involved, and you don't know the situation or what the limitations are. So I try to correct people as much as I can in a friendly and truthful environment, because it drives me crazy when folks are just putting information out there that's just not quite true.
I was going to answer. Am I good? This kind of correlates with, I believe it was Dr. Warren that said it, but when you're especially a CEO of a new business or a small company, everything falls on you, right? And at the same time, you don't have time for anything in the world, right? Because everything revolves around you. I work a lot of long hours, and one of the things that have affected my personality, as you asked, is that I used to be so family oriented, and I don't have time to spend with my family anymore. And that is horrible to me. I just lost my brother. His funeral is tomorrow. I didn't have enough time with him. And so it changed my perspective a little bit that, man, I really need to take the time. Like, the business is gonna be there, and then things are gonna happen, and we're gonna grow, and people wanna have deadlines, but you gotta make sure to spend time with your family. That was a hard lesson for me to learn recently, especially with losing my brother. So that's something that definitely changed my perspective.
You know, I think that we're powerful people, and there's so much power in the words that we speak. Don't miss this. When you speak negatively, negative things happen. When you speak life into things, when you speak positivity, positive things happen. It's all in your mentality. I know that young man just said something foolish about what happens if somebody hits you. I'm a CEO. I'm about making money. I don't have time for that. Other people handle that. I look at people who are fighting as fools. We don't have time for it. It's about how do we conduct ourselves, how do we enrich other people's lives for the next generation. And we speak positive, we speak life.
This question's for the whole panel. Was there ever a time in your life that it got so hard that you wanted to give up? But if there was, how did you keep going?
Ooh, I got this one. At the time I was a member of People's AME Zion Church on State Street. And we were in a situation where the business was not doing good, and I wasn't certain that I'd be able to pay my bills. And I'd said to my then pastor, I don't know, I might have to shut things down. And he looked at me and he said, you work too hard in God's house for your house to ever fail. Let's pray about it. At that point, we went to the altar, we prayed about it. 2 weeks later, I received a purchase order for this school right here for $550,000 to do the custom case goods, the scientific, the millwork, the library, and the display panels. Working on this job, I'm coming in looking at my guys working. Whose mouth do I hear? Wilson. He's the electrician on the job. That's when I was introduced to that brother. A week after that, I got an equal contract for Dr. Weeks. It's all about how you look at your environment. You don't give up, you keep grinding.
So, ooh, that is loud, Jesus. So my friend right here, Iyanla Jennings, has a question for Mr. Price, and you know, she kind of shy, so I have to help her out. So her question was that earlier you said that you have a different, you know, definition of networking, right? And she just wanted to know what was your definition.
Miss Jennings? Networking is an art, and it's an art on building relationships and identifying through those relationships not only how they can help you, but how you can help them. So, for instance, I want a relationship with Onondaga Community College, right? I'm not going to call him and ask him where the opportunities are, what can I do? What can I do? Yada, yada. We're going to build a relationship between us. How can I help you? He may say, I have nothing for you. I might say, if you were in my shoes, what would you do to go after an organization like Onondaga Community College? That puts him in a position now he's thinking about helping me, not thinking about his personal thing at OCC. He may say, you know what? If I were you, I would go to Syracuse University. As a matter of fact, you could talk to so-and-so. It's that relationship building process. Hopefully I answered your question.
I just want to add one thing to what Mr. Price said, because I think it's also about you all or people when they're networking to know your value, to know what you can bring to the table, to know where if someone says, I can't really use you right now, you have another you have another entry point, because, oh no, yes, you can use me because I can do such and such and such. So always to be able to identify your value and know that you have value and you bring it to all the spaces that you enter.
All right. This question is for Dr. Hodge. You said you faced homelessness and you went through so many trials and tribulations so young. How did you maintain that strength to push through?
I think for me, when we were younger, I have 2 older brothers, and then it was me, and it was my mom. And I always saw my mom reading and writing. She never really told me to read and write, but I always saw her reading and writing. And so when I was growing up, that's all I did. All I did was read and write. As soon as I got home from school, I did my homework, then I would read, because reading it took me someplace else. It took me away from what was happening. School was an extremely important place for me. And when I tell this story, people always wonder how, because even as we were homeless, my mother made sure we were in school every single day. And school became a safe space for me. My teachers became people that I could go to. School was calm. It was not chaotic. I wasn't worried about when I was gonna eat. I knew that I was gonna have lunch. So having some of those kinds of basic necessities met really helped me to maintain. But I always think that I wanted so much more for myself. I always knew that I deserved so much more, and that it was just the fact that I was born into this condition that didn't have to define me. So I was always working towards being the person that I wanted to be, and being the person that I wanted to be for my mom, who, she was a young mom. She got pregnant at 15. So there was a lot of things that were impacting who she could be. And I knew for me, part of it was I didn't want to be like my mom. I didn't want to have to struggle. I didn't want to have eviction notices on the door. I didn't want to have to worry about when I was going to eat. I wanted the fly clothes. I wanted to be, I wanted to be fly. So I had to work for it. And I think that is what really pushed me, because I knew that there was more out there for me. I knew there was more out there for my siblings. And that's what really kept me going amidst all of that. And then, I have a really good support network of teachers who saw my potential and were like, we're not gonna let you fail. And we're gonna they circled around me and made sure that I had the things that I needed to push forward to apply to school when I didn't have the fee waiver for a college application. My 9th grade teacher paid for my college application. So, it was a lot of different things, but it was really a motivation for me to live a life different than I had experienced as a little girl.
What's your aspiration in life?
The question is, what's your inspiration in life?
That's a good question. That is a good question. Inspiration.
Can we clarify the question? Was it inspiration or aspiration?
She says, what's your inspiration? That was a good question.
That's a very good question. That's a great question. Inspiration for me, especially from this position, is seeing this district thrive again. My inspiration is making sure that the world sees Syracuse in a brand new light that is shining brighter than anyone around us.
So when we talk about inspiration, I immediately think about building a legacy business, building a legacy business right here in Syracuse. So after I'm gone, my name is still, like they say, ringing bells. So that's my inspiration, is just building that.
For me, my inspiration is my family, my daughter especially, and then all of you, young people, give me inspiration to continue to do the work that we're doing at the college. So, yeah, young people.
Test, test. All right, so hold on 1 second, guys. Wait. If you have to take the 220 bus, you can head out. But we still got a couple minutes. If you have a question, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get to everyone, but we will get the contact information of everybody on this panel. So if it's a, oh wait, hold on, wait.
Ladies and gentlemen, not all of you take the 220 bus. I'm
only
gonna need
the
you to have a
220.
seat.
Sit
Have a
down if you
seat.
don't take the 220 bus.
Mr. Perry. Mr. Perry. Ladies and gentlemen, have a seat. There were a couple of things that I wanted to say to you all. I need you to have a seat. It is not time for dismissal. Have a seat. I need us to be respectful of our panel who are taking their time to answer our questions. So first, I wanted to thank our amazing panel for coming down, for sharing your stories with us. Thank you so much. I also want to thank our amazing Falcons. Thank you so much for being responsible, for being attentive. Thank you. As Mr. Williams was saying, it is all about networking. It's all about making connections. So we will make sure that we get the contact information from our panelists. I know a lot of you still had questions. We see that you have questions, and we do want you to be able to ask your questions. So we will get their contact information so that you can reach out to them and ask whatever questions you have. I also wanted to thank the members of BU, which is our Black Affinity Group, our teachers who helped put this together. Thank you so much. Let's give them a round of applause, please, and thank you. Stand up, Spencer. Y'all, can we give Spencer a round of applause, please? He think he fly. We appreciate you, Spencer. Thank you so much for being a student leader. And then we also appreciate all of our other student leaders out there. We want to make sure that if you all have ideas that you want to share with your administration, if there's anything that you want to do, you know, like bringing together these panels, we want to hear from you. You can totally come to our BU group. Mr. Perry is in it, Mr. Wilson is in it, Mr. Scott is in it, I'm in it, Mr. Williams is in it, Ms. Ritchie is in it. Any of our teachers who are African American, you can come to us. We meet every week, and we want to hear from you. I was just recently talking to our friend Harmani Walker. Is she still here? Well, Harmani has some really good ideas about how we can come together and build some mentorship programs in our school so that you all who are 12th graders and 11th graders can do what our amazing panel is doing and talk to some of our 9th graders about the things that they're going to experience in their high school career as PSLA at Fowler Falcons, where pride begins on the inside. All right? Okay. Again, I want to say thank you, everybody. If you ride a 220 bus, you are dismissed now. If you are going to be dismissed through the side door, please make sure you go through this door lockers, and then hit the front, okay? Jadir, you have something to say?